Okay, welcome back to day 2 of Vibe coding an app to $10,000 per month. Today's revenue is $0, and in today's video, we're actually going to start developing and building out some of our first features. So we've got them planned out using the CodeSpring plan here, and we'll start to go through these in a second. In yesterday's video, I basically got set up with the CodeSpring boilerplate. It's basically just got some very basic stuff set up already. So I've already gone ahead and set up the integration into Clerk, and we've also got the database set up as well. You can see here this is my account, and we've got some very basic stuff set up. So you can see here, if I come into settings, it's able to read the database, so it knows the email of my account, it knows that I'm on the pro plan, how many credits I have, and all of this is like boilerplate stuff that you get with a CodeSpring account. Now remember, if you want to follow along with this, we actually have down below in the description the invite, where if you sign up to CodeSpring Pro, you get 50,000 additional free credits when you sign up, which is equivalent to 5 months of additional free credits when you follow along. You need to be on the paid plan. It's £249 for a year. We don't have any monthly plans as of filming this video, but you will get 50,000 free credits if you use my invite code. The link is down below in the description. So if you're new around here, this is a very informal series. I'm not going to do any big editing. This is going to be long videos, detailed tutorials, and I'm going to show you every single step of the way through designing the software with CodeSpring, the pitfalls and problems that I'm facing, and I'll also be sharing ideas on some new features that we'll probably bring to CodeSpring based on what we're learning by building using our CodeSpring plan. So I want to run you through the app that we're building, just to remind everybody. So we are building a course knowledge-based platform. The idea is essentially a course where you have a searchable knowledge base that can find you essentially any details that you need based on Loom videos or YouTube videos or any video that you upload. It will then have, the ability to train chatbots. If I want to find a specific piece of content, it can take me to a specific part of a video. There will be an admin panel where I can go ahead and upload videos, and I can also do loads of other things like training and making AI chatbots based on our knowledge base. So what we've done here in CodeSpring, if you don't know what CodeSpring is, it's my software company. We have thousands of users planning and designing softwares using our mind mapping tool. It can visualize your code base, and it can also design software for you with any tech stack, whether you're building iOS or web applications or basically anything really. We've started to plan out, we're going to have a dashboard area where we can actually create and build course modules, and that's what we're probably going to work on in today's video. You can upload multiple sorts of videos, like Loom videos, YouTube videos, MP4 videos. It'll convert it to a MP3, and then we're going to do chunking and vector embeddings for semantic search. If you don't know what that is, you'll learn as we go through. There's going to be a course page, which is going to be essentially designed to look like this, and I've already started to wireframe some of the ideas out, so you can see down here this is what we want the embedded course page to kind of look like. So we can actually wireframe out visual UI ideas inside CodeSpring as well, and basically we're going to use the requirement docs generated inside my software to basically help us build this. There's some other things which I want to add as well, so let me just scroll back up. We're going to have image library, because what I also want to do is, as part of CodeSpring, we have quick start guides, which are essentially detailed SOPs essentially on how to build and do various things inside our app, and you can see here essentially these are some of the guides that we've created, and I want to create a tool that makes it easy for us to create these guides here. So if we have a knowledge base of everything that the software does through our courses, we can one-click create guides like that, and that's basically it. So basically, let's get started. So I just want to run you through where I'm at the moment. This is the basic boilerplate. We have the CodeSpring MCP set up. We've done that by integrating with Cursor through here. So if we come back into our Cursor project, I'm using a new computer and keyboard, by the way, so it might be a bit slow for me to get used to it. First thing I want to do is say, okay, so what we've got here is the front-end product requirement doc for the admin dashboard and course builder. I'm actually going to come in here and I'm going to edit. Actually, we're not going to do that. What we're going to do, my mouse is being weird. Let's cancel that. And we're going to add this to context inside CodeSpring. We're going to say, I just want to make sure that this is going to be not like an admin panel. This is just a dashboard view inside the app. So it'll be / dashboard in the app. What I'm trying to do here is, you see here where we've got this / dashboard URL. And this is where we're going to try and build the admin dashboard area. So we come back to, where's CodeSpring gone? Here. What we're actually designing is essentially we've got it's like a dashboard view where we're going to see There's going to be a button to create courses and modules, organize videos, metadata, and there's also going to be the ability to, actually I'll tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this to, let's just send this for now, and then what we're going to do is we're going to add this to context. We're going to just break this up, because what I want is I want to have a dashboard area which shows like analytics, for example, the number of times somebody has, how many people have watched our courses, those sorts of things. And then we want to have a course builder, which is going to be a separate section. So there'll be dashboard, and then this will be, course builder, for example. So I want to break these up into two separate features. So we're going to add this to context. Yeah, so basically I want you to break this admin dashboard and course builder into two separate features, and any of the features that we've currently got linked to it at the moment, what I want you to do is split those up. So we have a dashboard view, which is essentially localhost 3000/dashboard, which is basically just an area for us to view the analytics of like how many courses we've got, how many people have watched the courses, how far they've got through the courses, those sorts of things. And then we'll have a course builder in the sidebar, which will be a separate feature, which will basically be where we can actually build and create our courses, and then we can view our courses that are running at the moment. So we'll have like a course, and then we'll have probably inside a course you'll have multiple modules, and then inside the modules you'll have multiple lessons. Okay, and we're going to send these through, and essentially what CodeSpring is going to do is it's going to look through our plan right now. It's going to figure out the best way of reorganizing everything. And what we're doing is we're creating like a full knowledge base on how we want to build and design our app, because if we do that before we start building, we can then build much quicker, and also it makes a lot more sense when we're building, because we've thought through all of the problems. So you have less of this, okay, I've designed something, I've started coding it, and then actually I want to change it and go back. That's where you get these infinite sort of rebuilds and relooping. So we're going to make it easier by designing it with CodeSpring. Okay, you can see what it's currently doing right now. It's going to probably create us. So we've got the course builder feature here, and then I think it's probably going to create a dashboard feature here as well. So let's just auto lay this out, save those changes, and let's see what it's done. So come back to here. We're going to make this easier for us, like when we're actually analyzing what features we've got. So course builder is going to be all of this stuff here. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete the requirement docs, because we'll regenerate those in a second. We're going to get rid of the mood board. Let's just auto lay this out, and then let's just double check that these are all correct. So module section, so this is going to be course module lesson, yep. Oops, cancel that. So that looks kind of correct. First view dashboard home with a quick start checklist, CTA. So there'll be a preview panel, show live courses, page render. Yeah. So this is essentially the area where we can see all of the analytics and dashboard stuff. Admin panel for creators to manage courses, media, articles. Yeah. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to click on this, and I'm going to make sure that CodeSpring has organized this correctly. So can you make sure all of the notes that we've taken for the course builder here are correct for the actual course builder feature, and not anything to do with the actual dashboard area? So everything in here should be how we actually build and design our courses based on what I've planned previously. And then what else has it created down here? So this is the analytics dashboard. So this is actually the first view we should see. Okay, so I was getting confused the wrong way around. So this is basically when you log in, what we want to have here is the dashboard where it shows some various analytics and things. So we have dashboard, this is at a glance usage and system status. Yeah, so this is all fine. We just had some of the old plans on our previous project here. So we're just going to get those updated and make sure that's correct. And this is part of the thing with CodeSpring is Orchestrator has full understanding of how the entire thing works, but if we click on something, we add its context, we can direct it specifically to where we want to make the changes. So I'm just going to pause this, and you can see that last thing used 84 credits. So it doesn't use a lot of credits to do make these big changes for your plans, but obviously if you use the sign up link, invite link down below, you get 50,000 free credits when you buy the Pro plan. Okay, what I'm actually going to do is, because I'm getting confused here, I'm going to delete basically everything that we have planned, and we'll start again for this course designer. I think is probably the best system here. Let's delete that as well. We don't need this. Delete. Okay, so we're going to come to the course builder. We're going to add this to context, and we're just going to say, so this is going to be in the sidebar. There will be a course builder button, and in there we'll be able to click a button to create a course. And we'll also, if we have no courses, it will say obviously build a course. And then we will also be able to view our courses. So this is essentially where we can design what courses we want. So one course will have a certain number of modules, and then each module will have a certain number of lessons. And any video that we save, so here the option to create a course is you can upload a video, or you can just paste in like a Loom video or a YouTube video URL. And then on the back end, what it will basically do is it will actually use our transcription pipeline that we already have planned, which is it will convert it to an MP3 and then actually chunk it and do the vector embeddings and stuff. So it will save it into our database. But from the UI point of view, the course builder will basically allow us to upload and attach videos, and then organize and create our modules. Also, when we save the videos, I want to save them in the database, so we have the name of the video, like the video URL, and then also it'll obviously have the transcript of it and the vector embeddings. So then later on down the line in the knowledge base, we can easily search for information, and it can then obviously have that as metadata, so we can easily see what we're trying to build. Also, the information, and it can easily show us the video. So that's right. And obviously you can see here, like the more specific detail you give the plan, the better. And what we're trying to do with CodeSpring is make it very, very easy for you to design a software, design an app. And when you make little changes like these, big changes like these, you're changing it in the plan, but you're not changing any code. So when you're, if I had built that, right, if I had built what I had already planned beforehand, then it would be wrong, right? And then I'd have to come into the code and I'd have to make the changes in the code to make it correct, and there would be a lot of dead code while we're doing that. So what we're doing with CodeSpring is we're really just making sure our plan is accurate to what we're trying to build before we actually then go ahead and build anything, because that way we're not going to make mistakes as we start building. Now, while it's doing that, what I want to do is I want to scroll down and have a look at our dashboard, and let's just double check that we've designed this correctly. So course, modules, lessons, engagement view, unique viewers. So there'll be like some sort of filters. And one thing we could probably do with this, we could actually maybe, I think I'll probably leave this for now, but we could probably add some other things like, let's just scroll up and see what's going on here. This is basically because I deleted all of those previous nodes that we had. So it's just updating and making sure that information has got the correct information now. Cool, and just like that, it's added in this course builder. Now remember, when you're designing, always save your plans as you're going. So that's saved. Let's just auto lay this out. Auto layout, and we've obviously got the course builder down here. So what we're going to do now is we're going to actually, for this one, we're just going to click on this. We're going to generate a product requirement doc, and we're going to generate a front end product requirement doc for now, just to keep it simple. And let's get started building. So we're going to actually have, this is the dashboard essentially, which is essentially like an analytics view. So we're now going to come into cursor, and we're going to start building. So we're going to say here, I want you to use the CodeSpring MCP, and we're going to change the dashboard section of our app to, I want you to read the plan from my CodeSpring build for the dashboard analytics feature, reading the front-end product requirement doc, and I want you to build out just the front-end UI, so no database, no back-end stuff. Okay, and let's just save this plan. And what you'll see here is, in a second, we're going to send this through. So let's just check, come to settings, that the MCP is working. Yep, if this, by the way, if this ever times out, just turn it off and on again. Cursor's MCP is a bit weird. And now what we're going to do is, it's going to use the CodeSpring MCP, which means all of this context that we have here is now going to be read by Cursor. So it's going to read our CodeSpring plan. And it's going to get all of our projects, so it's going to make sure that we're using the correct projects, and it may ask us to list out. So it's found our course knowledge base platform. It knows which project we're trying to build. It has the project ID here, so it's going to then actually, what Cursor is now doing is it's reading our plan here. And CodeSpring is going to send this information and this plan over directly into Cursor, and then Cursor is just going to go ahead and build it. So rather than having to send like 50 different prompts into Cursor to build these features, we've planned it out first in here, and CodeSpring figures out, okay, well, based on the tech that we have here planned, which obviously this knows that we're using the CodeSpring boilerplate, so it knows the tech that we need. It's going to go ahead and, with the context of how all of our other features work, it's going to make sure that we're building everything kind of correctly from the ground up. So Cursor now has a full context knowledge base of what this whole app is going to be, so we don't have to just constantly go ahead and break things and rebuild things over and over again. So we're just going to allow this one. So now it's actually getting the specific product requirement doc for what we're actually building. And this product requirement doc is obviously the front end. So you see here it's reading the front end product requirement doc for the dashboard analytics feature. And it's got all the information on what we're trying to build. And it's going to pull all that information in. And let's just close all these folders. And it's then going to build the files for us. Now I've also got a specific design of how I want the app to be built. So we'll see what happens. So here it's now so Cursor has its own planning mode, but it's now created a list of to-do lists on how to actually create this app based on our full plan. So we've given it a detailed plan, and now it's going to go ahead and just code it. I'm using for this one Opus 4.5 thinking, and that's pretty good. The reason I'm using that is because it's very good at building user interface, that sort of stuff. So it's creating totals widget, engagement widget, and if we come on to our plan here, we can see a little bit more about the plan. And I recommend, whenever I'm designing with CodeSpring, always look at what it's written, right? Don't just take it for gospel fact. Sometimes you want to make some changes and things. Actually, let's just create a quick checkpoint here. So, reordered the, what was it? It was the dashboard, analytics, and the course builder. So this is basically, if we lose our progress, we can always come back to this checkpoint if we break something. Separate view. Cool. Hopefully you guys can hear me well enough. So we now have a backup of our current project plan here. So let's just come back into Cursor. So it's created recent activity, processing queue, basically just a whole load of widgets, and it's going to put them in here in the components for the dashboard, and it's just organizing these pretty well. And then what we'll probably do in a second is, once this is created, I want to actually tell Cursor to update our CodeSpring plan with, so here we've got this product requirement doc, which is explaining kind of how we want to create it. So it says here it's going to be in the dashboard area with authenticated app shell. Page is going to be the dashboard, time range filter it's going to add in, and it's adding in various widgets, right? So we've got cards for courses, modules and lessons, engagement time, recent activity, right, which I think is created up here is the recent activity somewhere. So we've got the time range one here, recent activity widget. So all of this information we have in our plan here is now being coded by Cursor, and you can see now this is basically what we have for our dashboard view, right? So we've got obviously the courses, modules, lessons, all of these various bits and pieces. This is just boilerplate stuff for now, but it's pretty accurate for what I wanted. So we have 30 days, 90 days, day switcher up here, so we can see it's also gone ahead and added in the courses section, which is obviously empty because we haven't started building that yet. But it knows, well, okay, based on our plan. And every time it does this, I'm always super excited because it's just amazing how it can read everything. So we have course builder, we have obviously the knowledge base, we've obviously got the dashboard. What else have we got in our app? So knowledge base, we've got the courses, media and articles. So these are two other things I wanted to build, which is one-click article generation. It's already designed that in the sidebar. What else have we got? Image library, so we can upload images and videos and have a media section. That's kind of what it's built here. So it's done a pretty good job already. So what we're going to do is we're going to come back to Cursor and we're going to see this is now done. So what we're going to do is, first of all, I'm going to keep all of this, and actually I'm going to now create a GitHub repository just to make sure all of this is saved correctly. So we're going to come over to GitHub, and because currently now, I think if we come to here, to git remote -v, yeah, so we're on the CodeSpring boilerplate, which obviously you get access to if you are part of if you're a CodeSpring user. So I think the best thing to do here, we can actually, because I've got on CodeSpring, if I come back to my chat, I'm actually integrated with GitHub, so it can actually read GitHub. So we can actually give it our repository as well. But I think for now, what I'll do is I'll just create a repo here. yeah, we're just going to call this repo knowledge base. And I'm going to make this private and create the repo. I'm going to copy this link here. And I'm just going to come into, I'm going to create a new chat actually in Cursor, and I'm going to say unlink from the CodeSpring boilerplate repo and initialize this new repo. Oops. So what we're going to do now is we want to be consistently backing up what we're building, and also this is then going to help us actually deploy it later on as well. So this whole challenge, I'm going to show you how I deploy the app as well. Cool. Run that. So if we just run this again, you can see here it's now connected it to this repository. Now it's going to push our code to here, so when we refresh this we'll see all of our code, hopefully. There we go. All of the code has now come through here. So what we're going to do now is I'm actually going to get this knowledge base here, and I'm just going to actually let's not rush ahead. We're going to come back to the dashboard. So this is what we've just built on Cursor, and I want to make sure now because we don't want to fall out of sync, right? We want to make sure that CodeSpring is always up to date with what we have here. So what we can actually do is in CodeSpring we can actually create Kanban tasks. So I want to actually come into CodeSpring and I'm going to say for what was it? It's the dashboard is the one we just built, isn't it? So here we're going to add the dashboard to context, and we're going to say I want you to create Kanban tasks for how to build this specific dashboard. Yeah, so I've done this the wrong way around. Really what I should have done is created the Kanban tasks, then built it, but I've actually built it, and then I want to create the Kanban tasks. So actually, instead of that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, this is great, what I want you to do now is update the CodeSpring MCP. So use the CodeSpring MCP to update our plan in CodeSpring. So for the dashboard analytics feature and any product requirement docs or notes or anything on there, can you update basically our full plan on what we've currently built inside CodeSpring, especially like file structure as well, for how you've created the dashboard and what components you've created specifically for the dashboard. If there's any like files you've created, what the file paths are, all of that stuff. Just basically make sure our CodeSpring knowledge base is up to date with our current code. We can send that through. Now we're trying to make it to the point where CodeSpring, Cursor will use CodeSpring to do this automatically. So for example, if you're a business and you have 3 or 4 employees, developers running and building, essentially what you could do is you could get them to do these things like update your knowledge base, and then it will go ahead and do it, and then you can just basically have a look at where things are, how things are being built. So here it's going to add feature notes to the CodeSpring, so we're going to allow this, and also don't forget, right, we've set up a backup here, so if something goes wrong with this, doesn't matter because we can always go back, and that's one of the crucial things. We've also now got it on GitHub, so actually I'm going to get rid of this one. So we've got it on GitHub as well. And then what we'll do is we'll link this GitHub to CodeSpring as well. So allow. And this is a new feature, so we'll see how this goes. All of this, I'm just testing this open with you guys. There is no guarantee all of this is going to work. This is a pretty new software. We've only been running it for a year. It's pretty new technology as well, so hopefully things go well. And by the way, if you think this is useful to you, don't forget you can get 50,000 free credits down below and sign up for the Pro plan. You get it for a full year for, as of filming this video, $350. And now we're going to allow it, so it's going to create some feature nodes for us. And what we should see is some more information should appear in our plan. I think for the course, no, not the course builder, for the dashboard analytics, we should see a little bit of extra information appear as well. Sync PRD, so we're going to allow that. And this is just the idea is always be, okay, design something in CodeSpring, build it in Cursor. And then once you've built something in Cursor, sync it back to CodeSpring. And the reason we do this is because we want to make sure that there's not any changes, right? If CodeSpring has designed the file structure in a certain way, or it's designed a certain number of features and how they integrate, and we don't keep CodeSpring up to date, when we plan out new features, it's going to obviously not know how to put them into your current code base. So it's making sure that everything is always in sync. And it's a really good way to have everything organized if you're a bit of a beginner when you're starting to build apps with AI. So let's just read what it's done. So summary of what's been documented. So it's theoretically, it's documented these changes inside CodeSpring. So I think the best thing to do now is we refresh CodeSpring. And you can see here it's added some more details. There's some more notes on basically how it's actually created and what's been created in our code base. So that's all up to date. We're going to save this, and then I'm going to auto layout and then save. Now it looks like it's gone ahead and it's created too many features here, so I'm just going to let the developers know and we can fix that. It looks like what it's done is it's basically just repeated itself, so it's added the same thing over and over again, but we can get CodeSpring to clean this up as well. So that's all done. Awesome. So now we have the very sort of first basic part of our app built. We've built the dashboard, and also our CodeSpring plan has been updated on this. And the next thing we're going to do is basically convert this into some Kanban tasks so we can start building and designing some more complicated features. Okay, so I'm doing part of me creating this course is because I want to be a power user of CodeSpring. You can see how useful it is just with creating and designing apps. We're doing incredibly well so far and keeping everything organized. So we know like where things are broken in our code. The only problem is obviously you can see here it's created a whole load of features that we don't need. It's created a whole load of duplicate features, and we've had actually some users who have reported this, and I'm being very transparent. We're a small company, we've only got 2 developers, we're doing really well, and it's a very powerful tool, but obviously some things go wrong. So in this case I want to show you how we can actually go ahead and fix problems like this, because you can see all of these features here. Transcription pipeline comes up multiple times. You can see transcription pipeline there, transcription pipeline here. So it's basically just when we've gone from this kind of Cursor's used our MCP, and Cursor has created all of these features again and again and again. So I'm creating updates, and we'll fix these bugs. But I want to show you if you are using this while we're creating these videos, how you would fix this problem, and we'll see how CodeSpring does. So we're going to actually click on this. We're going to add it to context. We're going to say, so I've just synced my code base from Cursor into CodeSpring, and you can see that it's created a whole load of new additional notes and artifacts explaining how some of our existing features work. It's done a really good job of that, but you can see the feature cards in here that I've tagged. There's loads of duplicate features, and obviously it's added our note cards to the specific features. I want you to clean up so we don't have duplicate feature cards, and make sure it's all stays clean. And then what this should do is Orchestrator should go through and see that we've got loads of duplicates of these, and then remove them, and then we should have only about hopefully 10 of these features. So I'll pause this and I'll come back and we'll see what happens. Failing that, that's part of the reason why we have and create these checkpoints, because we had 9 features before, 29 nodes. If we create a new checkpoint, we'll have thousands of features, hundreds of features, right? So what we could always do is we could always go back to this previous version on CodeSpring and then just tell Cursor only update, don't add any features, only update the notes card, for example. Now, it's a very new system that we're creating here. It's a very new technology, and it's quite difficult. So let me just mute this. Cool. So just like that, it says cleanup complete. I replaced the features list with single dedupe set of 9 core features aligned to your plan. Do you want me to audit and consolidate notes and to-dos attached to the old duplicates? And basically, the answer to that is, I think, yes, because we can see here these things have become detached, so we can get it to reattach them. So we're going to add this to context, and that was like a very, very quick, easy little fix. And then add this to context, and then say, can you reattach these bridges and nodes to their parent features? And then send that one through. And then I think in the future, every time I go from Cursor to CodeSpring, I'm going to tell it to avoid creating any new feature cards. So it's going to hopefully reattach these, and hopefully we shouldn't run into any problems. Okay, so that didn't work. I'm going to add this to context. So what I've done is I've found the dashboard feature here, and then down here I've got, this is the bridge for that feature. We'll make it so you can actually drag these together, and I'm going to say just attach these two together. Okay, so what I'm going to do actually is I'm actually just going to roll back to this previous version. And you can see here everything's sort of gone back to the previous version. So we're on the same 9 features. And it's also saved the previous one. So you see here we have 42 nodes, 9 features. This is the one that Cursor created. It's also saved that, so if we want to go back to that we can, but I think what I'm actually going to do to save us some time is here, we're going to scroll up to the original message that I sent that caused this problem, and we're just going to tell it not to create any feature nodes. So what I want you to do now is update the CodeSpring MCP. So use CodeSpring MCP to update our plan in CodeSpring. So for the dashboard analytics feature, I'm going to resend this. Okay, so what you've done is you've created the perfect set of features in our app. We've created the dashboard page. We have all of the components on there, and you've also created some of the sidebar buttons as well, which is really good. But what I want you to do now is go into CodeSpring using the CodeSpring MCP, and we have 9 feature cards. I don't want you to create any feature cards. All I want you to do is find the feature card for the dashboard, which is called dashboard brackets analytics in CodeSpring, and I want you to attach a note to it which explains the file structures of things that you've created, and then leave it at that. And we're just going to send this through, and hopefully it'll do a better job this time from Cursor. And the reason these things happen is basically because one prompt that you send to the AI can be interpreted 10 different ways. So you know when you send a message to an AI, and then if you send the same message you get a different response. That's kind of what's happening. So if you're not super specific, sometimes it can cause errors, and that's why we've created these backup features. And it's just quite difficult for us to tailor and get all of these perfect, but you know, it's a work in progress. We'll get there. So we're just going to allow all of these, and if we see it starting to create any features, then we'll stop it basically. So it looks like it's finding the features, feature ID, dashboard analytics. Now it's going to add a note to it. So it's not going to create any new features. It's just going to essentially find this feature, and it's going to, I think it's this one here, dashboard analytics. It should add another note to that one. So let's refresh this. And you can see here it's created another note for that, which is perfect. And I think that'll probably do. So it's explained here now in CodeSpring. We know exactly how the dashboard analytics feature works. These are the files that it's actually created. What I wanted to do now is I want to come back into Cursor, and I'm going to say, excellent, you've done a great job with that. Now what I want you to do is inside our app, we've also got in the sidebar, we've got knowledge base, courses, media and articles that you've created. What I want you to do is inside our CodeSpring plan, we have various featured cards already. Looks like it's done it again. Okay, we need to fix this bug. We'll fix this. I'm just going to clear these out now. Okay, actually I just noticed, I don't know if you saw that, it had, I'm pausing these videos just to save some time, but it had it added loads of features again, and then you can see down here, all I did is I said, use loads of duplicate features, keep the first 9, remove anything after that, do not delete any connections, and it solved that problem for us. So this is a little bit annoying. This is why I'm actually doing this course, is because I want to see how this works in real time. So we're just going to save that, so we have basically up-to-date information now from Cursor into our mind map. So what I'm going to do now is we're actually going to start working on our next feature. So we have the dashboard area, and I think what we're going to do is we're going to start working on the courses. So down here it has quick actions, so we can do new course, which will take us into the courses, but that doesn't exist. So we're going to copy this, and we're going to come into CodeSpring. I'm going to paste that in there. I'll explain why we're doing that in a second. And we're going to go to Course Builder, which is this feature here. We're going to right click on it, and we're going to add it to context. And we're just going to tell CodeSpring. So this is our Course Builder feature inside our app, is at the page /dashboard/courses. What we're going to do now is we want to create detailed design description on how we want to build this Course Builder, what we want it to look like, and essentially I want to be able to create courses and have a nice UI to be able to view our existing courses, so it doesn't become really complicated. I want it to be very simplistic UI. So I create a course, and it'll ask me for like the name of the course, and then I want to be able to create modules and then view the modules, and then I want to create lessons. And when I create a lesson, I need to give it a name, and it can ask me to then upload a video file. So it can be an MP4, it could be a Loom URL, or it could be a YouTube video URL. And then once I've uploaded it and saved it, it should then visually show that embedded as well. And in a minute, we'll probably start to design a database for this as well. So let's just send that through, and hopefully what it will do is it will find the course builder section. We're making it easier, so the idea is you'll be able to double click on one of these and it will take you directly to whichever node it's connected to, because it is a bit confusing. But what you can also do is we can collapse all of these, auto layout, which just makes this a little bit easier. So this is the course builder feature that we're going to be working on, so hopefully I'll add some notes to this one. Let's just save that as well. Right, so let's see what it's getting up to. So it says, it starts as a database PRD for the course builder, so we can lock in tables and relationships right into the mind map, which is quite good. So the tailor the schema, quick clarifications, course fields, so we're going to keep it minimal from now on. Yep, video storage, we're going to use Cloudflare Stream for MP4 as in your plan, so we may want to change that. That's basically because up here in the tech stack, I think we have it, Cloudflare Stream for videos. So course creation, keep it truly minimal at creation time, or include description and status. I think we want name, description and status when we create a course, to be honest with you. For MVP, more uploads via CloudStream, should we store the metadata from webhooks? I think yes. It's probably useful to have that information at some point. It's going to become useful, I'm sure. Let's just auto lay this out, and here you can see what it's done is it's created some information. So it's added in the design notes on how we want the course builder to look like. So page is obviously dashboard courses, and I find it really useful just to kind of explain to CodeSpring like the URLs and file structure of where I want things saved. We're creating the ability to save system prompts in here as well. So then you can put in things like specific file structures you wanted to follow. So it's got all the view courses. Oops. Let's just auto lay this out and save this. And then it's designed the database requirement doc. So course builder data model for creating and managing courses. So create, read, update, delete. So very, very simple little stuff for that. And then obviously these are the tables that it's designed. So here for course creation, should description be required or optional? I'm going to say optional. Do you want me to generate a front-end PRD for course builder now? I'm going to say no for now, because I just want to double check all the information it's done is correct. So here we're going to have a table for all of our courses, our modules, lessons, videos. So we're going to have the ID of the video, title, source type. Okay, I think that's probably okay. Images. We can probably get rid of images for now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually add this here, and I'm going to say, I think we can simplify the database for now. We don't need to save images, lesson images, and also you've put things like media folders and transcriptions, segments, embedding references, and knowledge base items. I think that kind of makes sense, but the problem is I'm a bit confused because I think those, and we're trying to figure out actually how this course section integrates into our knowledge base feature. Because obviously we have, if you look at our features, which I've also added to context for the chat, if we look at our features, we have knowledge base indexing. I think we should probably, do we need to have a separate vector database for the embeddings? How does that work? I think for now, let's not worry about the vector embeddings for this database requirement doc for the course builder. Let's just save the stuff. So we haven't actually built the transcription feature yet, so we'll build that later, I think. So let's just simplify this a little bit more. Because at some point, really, this is quite a complicated thing we're building, so at some point we'll probably work on the knowledge base stuff, and we'll do that next, I think. So we'll be able to, I want to be able to come into here, create courses, and then just have like them saved, and then once we've got them saved with, you know, like the URL of a video, for example, which actually we should probably add as a table, then we will go in and we will, you know, build the back-end features for transcribing and all the other bits and pieces. So I'm going to pause this, we're going to let this get on, but you can see how, again, it requires a little bit of context. it requires a bit of context and knowledge on building software to get these things done, but also, CodeSpring can really help a lot. So if you were confused, you could just ask it, okay, what's the best plan, and it will go ahead and do some better, it'll kind of figure things out for you and ask you questions as you saw it was doing earlier. Cool, so let's just save the changes on that. What was it said? So it's removed images and media. Did it remove them? No, it hasn't. So let's just add this to context here, and we'll say, I forgot to pause that. So basically what I've done is I'm tagging the ones that I want to get rid of. So this one, images. Now you can, if you want to, just delete them. And what it's probably done in here, if we look at the tables, is it's got courses, it's got modules, it's got lessons, and that's it, right? So here you can see it's added loads of additional things. So we can actually, I think, rather than just using orchestrator, we'll delete these ourselves. So courses, modules, and lessons. We're going to get rid of images. Lesson images we're going to get rid of. Media folders. We'll get rid of that as well. Transcriptions, we'll also get rid of that. This one we'll get rid of. And just remember, right, CodeSpring's not, it will sometimes come up with ideas that are a little bit further beyond where you want to be. So you can't just take everything as gospel that it comes up with, but you may want to make some changes. So actually I'm just going to delete these here. And we can see here we've got this is a database requirement doc on how we want to put things together. So keep the course builder schema minimal, exclude lesson images, media folders, transcription segments, embedding references, knowledge base for now. So we're going to defer vector database transcription until those features are built, so we'll do those later. Cool. So I'm going to click this, add this to context, and I'm also going to add these ones to context so it knows what we've got in here. And I'm also going to save those changes because we deleted those things. And I'm just going to say to this, I also want to make sure that when we create a course in the table, we have, if I, for example, save it as like a video URL, like a YouTube video URL or a Loom video URL, I want to be able to save that URL as well. Also, you can see I've got modules in here as well, as a little table view. Can we make sure, I want to have some way of, so when we create a course, it knows and it saves it to the modules. We'll have probably a modules table, and obviously the module's linked to a course, and a lesson is linked to a module. So I want to make sure all of those tables are linked together as well, because we'll use that for organization in the knowledge base later on as well. Send that through, and it's going to figure all these things out. And the reason we're doing this is this is giving us a visualization, right, of the code base. We know what's going to happen when we start building. And for example, if you just went onto Cursor and you said build me this app, and you just gave it the prompts we had earlier, it would have built you probably some crazy database stuff, and then you would just have a massive bloated app. But because this is visualizing it, we can see actually we don't want it to be that complex. Let's just cut it down and simplify it a bit. We're spending a lot of time designing and planning visually, and then when we give this plan directly to Cursor, it'll build the perfect thing. Right? Well, not perfect, but it'll build it much better first try. So we're spending a lot less credits, because it can, you can spend $300, $400, $500 a month on Cursor just to build your app, whereas that used 53 credits, so literally nothing. You get, if you sign up with a link down below, you get 50,000 free credits when you buy the Pro plan. So we're relatively cheap. You're saving a lot of money by planning first, basically, by doing this. It's not like we're not at the point yet where you can one-shot a plan, but we are. It does make things a lot easier. Okay, so your schema now supports saving external video URLs. So let's come into here. We can see courses, modules. Here we go, media URL. So let's save that in there as well, which I think is fine. Now it's created these things here, but we can just delete these as well. And save that. And now, I think we're probably ready now to create a front-end requirement doc for this feature. Right? So we're trying to build now the course builder feature. So let's just generate a front-end product requirement doc. And we'll also create a back-end product requirement doc, because what we want to do is inside the code base here, the way that the CodeSpring boilerplate works is we use Drizzle for our database. So if you actually come up to the tech stack here, where is it? Drizzle, this one here. So it organizes the database into this DB schema folder, which is this one here. And we are going to basically, we've generated a database product requirement doc, we've generated the front-end requirement doc now, and we're also going to generate a back-end one, and we're going to build out basically everything for this. But before we start building, we'll also convert them into Kanban tasks as well for this specific feature, because this is quite a complicated feature, and what should happen is Cursor will then read those specific tasks. So now we're going to generate a back-end one, and we'll just auto-lay that out as well. And the reason we've broken it down like this is each feature that you're building has multiple components that go into it. So this is just gonna when we create these requirement docs, they understand, like this back-end requirement doc understands how the front end works and understands how the database works. So these requirement docs are going to be very well connected, and then it should mean that we run into less bugs down the line. And if we do run into bugs, we know why or Cursor knows why, because it has the requirement docs and it can figure things out for us. Okay, cool. So next thing we're going to do, let's just come to here and click on that and save the changes. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this into dark mode for now. Okay, so the next step in building this app is we're going to break these down into sort of smaller tasks. So we're going to work on building the course builder part of the app, right, which is this one here. So what I'm going to do is we're going to, and by the way, right, we've added this feature here which tells you how much context you've used. So if things are breaking, it's usually because your context has been full, which means Orchestrator can't really, it keeps forgetting things and missing things. So we've got enough context left in this chat. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on this, we're going to add this to context, and we're going to come to the course builder feature, which is this one here. We're going to add this to context, and we do that with right click, by the way. We're updating some of the UI on some of these things, but for now it's right click. And we're going to say, what I want you to do is break down this feature into small Kanban tasks. So exclusively for the course builder feature, looking at the notes that we've currently got and also the requirement docs that we've got, to explain exactly how to sort of build up the UI first, any server actions or back-end features that we need to do, and then also how the front end integrates with the back-end database in terms of storing things like video links. For now, we're not building anything to do with the transcription tools. We're just working on the course building UI, so we can build, courses, modules, and lessons. And we're going to send that through. And what this should do is it should give this context to Orchestrator, and it should create various Kanban tasks. And that's what we'll do here. Let's create a checkpoint. We're going to call this planned out the course builder section. So course builder, UI, database, etc. being planned. Pre-Kanban. Create the checkpoint. So if anything goes wrong with the Kanban, we can always come back and fix it. And we can see here it's currently going to figure out. So I'm going to pause this. I'll come back once the Kanban's feature is done. And actually what I'm going to do just quickly is I'm going to come into Cursor, and I'm going to reorganize this a bit, because what I want to do is I want to have it go dashboard, courses, then knowledge base. So I'm going to say in the sidebar, which is obviously this thing here, I want courses, course builder to be above knowledge base. And I'll rearrange it. These little things like this we don't need to keep in context with CodeSpring. So do you want to create execution tasks on the Kanban board or add planning to-dos under the course builder feature? To be fair, we could add to-do lists first, because this is a feature that we have in CodeSpring, is to add to-do lists. Let's add the to-do lists first, and then we'll create Kanbans based off that, I think. And then what we can do is we can go through and we can actually we can then tick off the to-do list tasks as well. One thing we're going to make easier is highlighting sections in the app. So for example, when we were having issues with the database earlier, with it being too complicated, we're going to make it so CodeSpring will identify that this is like a too complicated thing, and it will do like a traffic light system or something, so it tells you, okay, we recommend removing these things for, if you're building a simple MVP. And that's the thing to remember with this, right, is we're designing an app, but don't design like the final thing. You have to build it bit by bit by bit, build it up. So don't design 1,000 different features. What we've got here is 9 different features, and we're going to build these 9 different features first. And then once we've got them built, then we can start on more complicated features. Cool. So let's auto lay this out. So you can see it's created various to-dos on how we should actually build this. So we should scaffold out the dashboard course page. We should have a course list table, new course flow. So yeah. Module details, a lesson sublist. Yeah, this is a good idea actually. So we can actually create a lesson. So we need a name plus the media input. Okay, so now we've got these. These cover UI flow, backend and server actions, simplified schema integration, and QA. So these are the server actions ones. We've got stuff for the UI, and it's also got some stuff for quality, and also we've got, I think, some database stuff in here as well. So let's just say excellent. Pivot table if I can spell excellent. We will need Kanban tasks for how to build, or for, oops, you know what, let's build Kanban tasks now for this course builder section. Remember, we're building this in the /dashboard/courses page of the app. And then obviously the Kanban task should be based off these to-do lists, and also the plans that we have in the requirement docs, and also our notes for this specific feature. We're only creating Kanbans for the course builder feature. And we'll send that off. Cool. So what we want to do really is now, this is something that I meant to have done with the dashboard feature, but obviously with the dashboard feature, for now we're just creating some basic UI. This dashboard feature, there's no point, like this is just a placeholder because we haven't got anybody using the app or anything like that yet. So we'll have the course builder as the first main feature that we're building, and we want to break it up into smaller, manageable tasks. Okay, so we're actually running into a little issue at the moment with Kanbans. I just messaged the developer and the Kanban show up and then it disappears. So I'll do this for the next feature. We're just debugging that. We'll get that launched soon. So for now, what we're going to do is we're just going to run it based off the to-do list, really. We don't really need the Kanban straight away. It just would have been a cool example to show you. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come into Cursor, and I think CodeSpring MCP is still connected. We're now going to say, I think, can you check our course builder requirements in our CodeSpring project? I want you to pull in, we've generated a database, a front end and a back end product requirement doc. Can you pull in the details for each of those? And I want you to first of all build me the UI, and then once you've built the UI, stop. Then we'll work on building the back end, like server actions, etc., and also the database after that. If you can also pull in the to-do lists, there's some to-do lists linked to the course builder feature in CodeSpring as well, and it will show you kind of the steps that we need to take in order of like how to build this correctly. And we're just going to send that through. And again, it's exactly the same process. So again, we've got, make sure all this is saved. And then CodeSpring is going to have all the plan on this. Obviously, we've got all the requirement docs on how to build it. And then obviously, Cursor is now going to read all that information and then obviously send it through. So I'll just, let's see here. So let me pull all the course builder PRDs. Looks like the MCP connection was reset. CodeSpring appears to be disconnected. This is just, if this happens to you, this is basically Cursor's MCP keeps disconnecting. They haven't actually got a button like a back-end system that automatically reconnects. This isn't an issue on CodeSpring. It's just the way that their MCP connects. So MCPs, by the way, are very sort of like new modern technology. So sometimes they work, sometimes they don't work. In this case, we can try turning it off and on again. See here, 12 tools, 5 prompts, and we'll just resend that message through, and hopefully it'll work this time. Cool, allow. And we're just going to allow this one. So what it's doing now is it's pulling in the project ID, so make sure it's all up to date. You can see I keep changing the background of the CodeSpring. I'll put it back into black and white just so it's easier to see. But one thing I want to really sort of note here is you can see how, like, as you build a very complicated app, if all of the things I'm sending are just in, chat histories, every single time I send a message, you can see, we have the same system set up on CodeSpring. You can see the context gets compressed, which means information on what you're trying to build always gets lost the longer the chat thread gets. And then you start a new chat thread and suddenly you have to sort of retrain the AI chat on what it is you're building. With CodeSpring, you can just instantly pull that context back into the chat straight away. But also, when we were planning out databases, you can visually see, actually, maybe I'm overcomplicating this feature. Or when I first started this tutorial for today's day 2, the course builder and the admin dashboard, like the dashboard, were both the same feature. These two were the same feature, and we decided to split them up. If I had written that in code and then decided to split it up, especially if I'd integrated things like databases, all of that, then it would have been really complicated and a lot of things could have broken when we sort of switch all those things around. So it can really be very, very valuable to do things like this. Okay, so it's going to plan the next moves. I'm just going to pause this and I'll come back and I'll show you what it's done, because this can take a little bit of time while Cursor sort of figures out how to code and what it needs to do. Okay, so it looks like it's pulled in some context. So let's just have a look, make sure this is all correct. And you can see here it says course builder, PRDs, and to-do list. So front-end PRD summary. So we're going to have a course list view, course editor, module, video upload. This seems to be correct. We can always come back to our plan and we can have a look at our front-end requirement doc. So in-app builder to create managed courses. So we're going to have a navigation with a sidebar, columns. So course list area, so it seems to be pretty much correct. Course list area with tables and cards, which is basically what we've got here. Columns and course list table. So we've got the back end one. So this mouse, I can get confused on which direction to scroll. Front end, back end, so course ID. Yep, to-do list, so this is the UI tasks. So it's just going to work on the UI tasks first. And you can see here scaffold, dashboard and courses. It's going to do the course table, course flow, course detail panel. And actually what I probably should have done as well is in CodeSpring you can actually upload mood boards. So if there was a design or something that I wanted, I could upload a mood board to this, by clicking this, and then add a mood board. And then I could add example screenshots on how I want to actually I want that feature to look like. But obviously, not going to bother with that for now. Let's just get started with building. So it looks like it's currently creating up the various components. So if we come into the components folder, we have obviously got course builder. So we've got all of these things. So we've got course card, course list, and CodeSpring is designing this to be sort of pretty well organized, and it should then put them all into this URL here. And again, I want to make it so in CodeSpring there's a system prompt area, so you can put how you would like your files to be structured, and then all of your product requirement docs will follow that same structure. And actually, one thing I probably should do at some point is integrate the CodeSpring boilerplate as well into this plan here. But we'll do that in a bit. So for now, I'm just going to pause this and I'll come back once this is done. Right, so let's see what's done. We can see here, okay, course build UI has been completed, features implemented, so we've got the scaffold and dashboard, course page layout, course list table. Let's just see what it's created. So we come to, okay, so we also, I forgot, we reorganized the order of these. So we have course builder. Okay, so we have each of the courses. So we have create and manage your courses, modules, and lessons. I don't think it's actually created any database stuff yet. No, good. That's what we want. Let's reorganize these, and then we've got, so these are example courses. Now they need to be clickable, so we can actually go in and view various courses. I may not, this probably isn't the final UI for these. We can actually edit a course and it can take us inside. Okay, so now we're inside the course section. We can see here course content, no modules, course details. Okay, so what happens if we try and create a new course? So we're going to call this demo course. This is going to be a draft, create a course. Okay, back to courses, course not found. That's because we haven't got a database set up yet, in fairness. And we've got one error here. That's fine, so we'll come back. to let's just go to the dashboard, come back to Course Builder, and let's just have a look at the UI for this, because we probably want to make some changes. So this is actually when we're inside the course. We have obviously the name of the course. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to send a screenshot of the course section. Let's just move my head out of the way of the course section to cursor and just say, so we have context on how we want to improve the UI of this. So I think what we're going to do for UI updates and changes, we don't need to plan them out in CodeSpring first, right? It's got the rough idea, it knows like what elements to create for the user experience flow for what we're trying to build, but obviously, you know, minor adjustments and where we move things and user experience and all that sort of stuff, we probably want to change. So what's wrong with this at the moment? So we're in here. It's a bit difficult to understand that this here is the title of the course. I'm not quite sure about these little boxes. So it looks pretty good what you've created. Oh, no, that's not working. Why is this not? So it looks pretty good what you have created. My only confusion is when I'm inside the course, as you can see from the view that I'm looking at. Obviously it's got the name of the course at the top, Advanced TypeScript Patterns. So we're in /dashboard /courses / the name of the course. Obviously this is just template data for now that we're looking at. So we're not building any back-end stuff just yet, but we have course content down the left-hand side, the add module button. Obviously is adding various modules. I can move them. I can't move the modules around when I drag them. And also what gets confusing is I'm inside, if I come into actually the course and I click on edit, right, the middle section here, course details, title, advanced TypeScript patterns, the slug and the description and the settings. I don't like the view there. I think the first thing we should see is inside the course view, we need to have the ability to see all of the modules, and obviously if we're inside a course, it should show us the first view, no modules have been created or no lessons have been created for each module. And also these course details, maybe there should be like a settings section for that course that we're in. And I want you to sort of reorganize the UI a little bit and make it a bit cleaner. Obviously the add module button at the bottom, hard to find. Everything needs to be a great user experience, and we want to use traditional user experience patterns to make sure it's easy for people to create courses and find out which buttons to click and those sorts of things. Okay, so we're going to send that through. Now, one thing I've learned from building CodeSpring into like we're going to probably do over $1 million this year, is understanding, like, when you're building software, to build things with an easy to understand user experience flow. Now, CodeSpring is a very complicated piece of kit to use. We are designing new tech all of the time, but something like this is like a course builder platform. There's millions of these that exist. So there are like user experience techniques that people have created over the years. So instead of reinventing the wheel, you know, AI knows a lot of stuff on how we can actually build and design these things, so we're just going to try and rip off and mimic as many patterns as we can in terms of user experience. So here, we're just going to see, and I'm using Claude 4.5 Opus. Opus is pretty good at, you know, creating UI and coming up with UI designs, and obviously we'll see what it comes up with. And that's one of the things I like about using AI, is we can just go around in circles and continually just come up with different ideas and patterns and just keep split testing ideas in UI until we're happy. So I'm just going to pause this and we'll come back once it's done. Right, so it's improved some actions, looks like it's done some stuff, whatever, it's made some changes. So tabbed interface, you know what, let's just have a look at the UI. Okay, I think this is much better. So we come in, we can edit a course. Obviously this is all template data for now, right? So it's added in some various courses in here. This one's obviously in draft. Let's have a look at this one. Cool. So you log in. It's like, cool, there's no modules. Course content, organize your course into modules and lessons. So we can then add, I don't know that there's 2 buttons. So that's the first thing. And the reason when I'm building, I love just designing the UI first, because once I understand how the user experience works, then building and integrating the buttons to back-end functions is much easier. So I love the new design that we've got. The one thing I've noticed is when we're in the course page, I like the tab difference between content and settings. Where it says course content, no modules yet. I don't like the fact we've got course content and then add module. And then we've also got add your first module. I think we should just have one button, otherwise it becomes kind of a little bit confusing, having 2 buttons that do the same thing. Right. So what happens we do, okay, let's just click on add your, let's just try this also, make sure, yeah, light mode's still working. By the way, this light mode, dark mode stuff is all part of the base CodeSpring boilerplate. So add your first module. Cool. Let's just add another module. So we can have two modules. We have, okay, so we can move them up and down, but this is a little bit counterintuitive. And then we can see the lessons inside them. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a screenshot of what the modules look like. I'm going to put my head up here. And I'm going to say, also the modules, I like the module view like this, so we can see kind of what modules are available. For now, I think this list view is kind of fine for each module, because this is just an admin area, an admin view really, where we're just sort of designing the module area. But I want to be able to use some sort of click and drag, and I want to use some sort of, I don't know whether we use frame in motion or we use some sort of UI, UX library, so when we click and drag module 1 to be below module 2, then you know, it visually moves, because we've got a little up and down arrow to swap them, and the up and down selection to swap them around doesn't really sit right with me. The other thing is, once I've added a module, it just adds it in, and if I try and double click on the module name to change the name, I can't. And I think when I add a new module, it should automatically add it and then highlight the name of it and then allow me to change it, and maybe automatically open it, so have it like an open accordion, so then it can say, okay, add lesson. And then the other thing is, when I'm looking at the lessons section, it opens up this whole new view, which I don't really like. As you can see in the third screenshot, the add a lesson, this whole view of adding lessons should be inside the accordion as well. Okay, so we're going to send that through, and it's just an iterative process. And the reason we're doing this now, so these UI changes that we're making, I'm not changing these inside CodeSpring, because it doesn't make sense to do this, because this CodeSpring stuff basically tells us about like what elements to create and what files to create, but it's not, you know, we're not looking to create very, very specific designs from this. That's the long-term goal with CodeSpring, is we want to make it easier to design front end. But here, I'll make these changes, and then once we've made these changes, we can then again go from cursor back into CodeSpring and make sure CodeSpring is up to date with the changes that we've made. And that's kind of the long-term process. It's every single change, you just go back and forth. So again, let's just wait and see what cursor does, and I'll come back. So, looks like it's doing some changes, but while it's making those changes, I've just seen here again, CodeSpring MCP error. This is not, again, an error that is caused by CodeSpring. It is literally a... it's an error with cursors MCP, and it just means that it disconnects and there's no automatic reconnect, so all you need to do is just turn it off, turn it on again, and there you go, it's reconnected. Take a minute and then it'll come back together, 12 tools. So yeah, just wanted to show you that, make sure that, you know, if any of you guys are running into that issue, then you know how to fix it. And again, you know, we're working on little updates and things that'll make these little bugs and things easier for you guys. But you can see here, looks like it's made some changes. And you know what we also need to do, which we haven't done for a while, is we need to push this to GitHub. So if we actually come onto our GitHub, I don't know if we've got much commit history. Yeah, so let's just say here, commit and push these changes to GitHub, because we don't want to lose our progress. And let's just see what it's done right now. So we're going to come in. I want to change this view a bit, but I think this is probably okay for now. These are the various courses that I'm building. We're going to come into here, edit this course. This is fine, no modules yet. I actually preferred this one here, so I'm going to say, because it moved the add module one. You know, it had two buttons. I preferred the one that was in this bit. So we're going to come onto this, paste this in here. We're going to say, you've got on the course content where we're going to create modules. You've got the white add module button on the top right. Can you remove that one and put the add modules where it says no modules yet? Click the add module button above to start building your course. Can you put it in that like grey dotted box there? I'm going to run that as well. Okay, so the add module button that you've got in this screenshot for when I'm creating modules for my course content, can you put that white button in the no modules yet, like the little grey box as well? So just, we only have the one button, but not on the top right, just have it in the little grey box. And then let's just add a module. Again, so it's highlighting the name of the module, so we'll call this, I don't know, setup boilerplate. and then add lesson. So let's put the lessons in here. So this is going to be, I don't know, setting up GitHub account. And video source, Loom. And let's just take, I've got this Loom video from this series that I'm filming today. So we'll put this Loom video in here. Add lesson. Of course, it's got the lesson in here, and then obviously processing, because what it will do is it will then convert this into an MP3 file, and then it will transcribe it and add it to the knowledge base, which I think I'm pretty happy with. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say, it looks pretty good when I create a lesson. The only thing is the view looks a bit boring. It's probably okay for now, to be honest with you, but once we've created it, it says processing. When I hover over processing, I want it to give like an update on what it's doing, because obviously processing, we haven't built this functionality yet, but what it will mean is it's probably transcribing it and then adding it to the knowledge base. And I think that's probably fine, yeah. Because what I was also going to say is then we can have like a little notification on here that shows once it's been added to the knowledge base. But we'll come back and we'll add that feature later on. Let's add another module and see if the dragging thing works. So we've got module 2, whatever, test, Loom, and we'll paste the same video. Save that. Okay, so module 1 like that. Of course, the moving around works. I like that. And then also, what happens if we have this in here? Can we move these two around? No. Okay. So what we also want to do is the ability to allow me to move and swap the modules around looks really good. I like that, but I also want to be able to move the lesson order around. And at the moment, it's not showing. So in the lesson order, it's not showing like a number for each lesson. So where it has also for the modules, I want it to be labeled like module, like automatically 1, 2, and 3. And then if I reorder them, then it will reorder the number. Same for the lessons. A drag feature to be able to, or maybe for the lessons is just an arrow that allows me to swap the order of them. And again, I want you to label the number of the lesson. And maybe where it says setting up whatever the lesson is, yeah, no, that's fine. Let's just do that. I think that's probably everything we want to do. Then let's just have a look at this. This is the settings. So this is the title, the description. So public, theme, dark, danger zone, delete this course. That's fine for now. And then if we do save, obviously that's probably not going to save anything because we haven't got a database. Publish, also not going to do anything because we haven't got a database. If we come back to here and refresh, obviously if we come back into here, all of that's going to be lost because there's no database yet, but that's fine. So let's just send this through, make those final changes, and then what we'll do is we will, let's actually just come onto here and tick off the things that we've done. So scaffold, the dashboard, course page layout, which we've got. Course list and table has been done. So we've got a simple form for creating courses. Module detailed lesson, sublist, sortable. Yep, I think we've got that. Yep. We haven't got the embed preview. We have the loading thing has been set up. Let's save those changes. We have just added these in actually, so I don't know whether that's gonna. That should have saved. What happens if we refresh? Yeah, cool. That is saving. That wasn't saving before, so it is now. And once the Kanban features, we're just fixing this bug. Then it'll be easier to track what things we've done and what things we haven't done. So server actions is what's going to be next. So I'll pause this and come back. While that's doing that, let's just make sure that we got the latest commit. There you go, 6 minutes ago. Added dashboard analytics and builder UI, which means the knowledge base GitHub is being updated, and that's all good. Right, those changes are done. Let's come back into here, see what I've forgotten literally what changes we're making. So module 1, add a lesson, test. I don't know, just put some random link in there for now. So it's labelled these. Test 2. Random link, and we'll make it so those links only work. Okay, so now once I've got a module created, I can't actually, so we can swap. So the order of these isn't able to swap around. Okay, so the order of the lessons, if I click the button in the lessons, I can't actually swap the order of them. And also, once I've created my first module, the button to create another module disappears. And that's because we moved the add module button into the where it says there's no modules yet. So once I've got a module that's been created, then there needs to be an add module button on the top right. It needs to appear, or underneath, or somewhere else, once there's a module created. So that may have been a mistake on the UX there. Right, that seems to be working, so let's just refresh. Okay, so we add a module, add a lesson. That's fine. Add another lesson. That's fine. Add another module, add a lesson. Whatever. Oh, actually, let's see what happens with the upload. Does it have... Yes, we haven't actually built that yet, that's fine. So now, can we swap these two round? Yes, we can. And we can swap these two round. So module 1 and module 2. So annoyingly, I'll call this test. I'll call this one hello. If we swap these two round, yeah, so the module numbers change. Cool, I'm happy with that. Right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to do commit push to GitHub. And then, I think what we'll do next is, I think we've backed up, when was the last time we backed up our project? An hour ago. Course builder UI, etc. has been, let's just do another backup on this. Added to-do list tasks for course builder. Before we built the course builder, we added to-do lists. And this is before I synced code changes from Cursor. Because again, we don't want to lose any progress when we sync from Cursor back to CodeSpring. So let's just push that to GitHub. And then what we'll do is in the same chat, because we want to keep the context of what we've just done, is we want to say, okay, now what I want you to do is inside our Cursor, inside our CodeSpring project, we have a feature card called Course Builder. I don't want you to create any feature cards. What I want you to do is I want you to find the notes and create like a single note for it and explain the UI changes and what we've done for the Course Builder feature, and also if you can find the front-end product requirement doc, front-end PRD for the Course Builder feature, I want you to add any changes to that to keep that up to date with the code changes that we've just made for that feature. Cool, and again, let's just send that through, and fingers crossed it doesn't break anything. We are, so the idea of going from code to mind map is a new feature that we've added recently, so this is part of me testing it as well. I know I keep saying that, but everything's product testing. But what's crazy here is I'm barely writing any prompts, I'm just sort of guiding it on UI. Where we're really going to see CodeSpring come into its own is the planning of the back-end features. So it knows the knowledge base platform is what we're working on. Project ID, allow get PRDs, so it's going to try and find what PRDs we've currently got. Let's make sure this is up to date and saved. Looks like Cursor's MCP has broken once again, so we're going to turn it off and on again. You can see here, like it's saying the MCP server seems to have disconnected, so we're just going to turn it off and on again. If the tools, this is why I keep this view open. There you go, success, looks like it's found it. It's just the way that Cursor's MCP works. It's a bit annoying, and again, if you're building with CodeSpring and Lovable, you'll experience probably more problems because Lovable's MCP is also really bad. And what we should see is probably another note gets built that looks similar to this one here, which explains the front-end implementation. And hopefully it might actually update the front-end product requirement doc as well. But we'll see what happens. And what we're hoping for is, again, it may create more than 9 features, and if it does, we'll use Orchestrator to remove those additional feature duplicates. Just going to collapse the nodes that I've currently got for this feature, so it's easier for us to see what it's creating. So it's taken quite a while, actually. Yeah, so it keeps disconnecting. Hang on. So this is the area we're working. So we've got 3 notes, and when I'm designing and building apps, especially with complicated features, because there can be, you can create as many of these notes as you want. What I'm trying to do here is basically just keep track of, what have I built and what still needs to be built, and obviously keep everything in sync. So I've just collapsed everything, so now I can see, and it looks like Cursor's going to try ahead and add some. Oops. Hang on. It looks like it's going to try and add a feature note. And you can see here what it's basically adding, so it's just explaining which files that it's created, and then we should see these come through, hopefully, into our mind map in just a second. Server's back online. I got a bit confused. I think I stopped when I was trying to stop the speech to text. I think I got rid of that. Note added successfully. Let's have a look. Refresh the page. There we go. So it's added a new note which has kind of explained those changes that we've made. So I'm going to save that, and I'm going to say, did you update the front end PRD for the course build feature, or is it fine as it is? Now it depends, right? Because realistically, when we're building in the front-end product requirement doc, what we've built has been built based off the front-end requirement doc, right? We haven't really added any new components, but in case we have, or in case the AI has, I want to make sure that they have then been updated on this front-end PRD. Now, what this is going to do is, I did not update the front-end PRD. I only added the note. Looking at the PRDs of what we built, there are some differences. So PRD specifies multiple tabs. What we implemented. Would you like me to update the front-end PRD to reflect what we actually built? Yes. So we've actually created a tool which is Sync PRD, right? If you actually click on these, Sync PRD updates existing product requirement docs inside CodeSpring. So for example, use this to sync PRD content from local files or generated documentation, right? So essentially what we're trying to do here is we're saying, look, we have created an update. We've pulled in the requirement docs from here. We've created these features, and then we've changed it because we didn't like the UI. But I want to make sure this requirement doc is up to date. And the reason for that is because if I come back to this feature in the future and it stays on the old requirement doc and we don't update it for what's currently going on in the code base, CodeSpring isn't aware of what's happening. Now, this is only super important if we're going to continue working on this feature, which we will do because we still need to build like the back end, for example. So all of these things are definitely worth doing. So let's just sync the requirement doc, and let's just scroll up to the top. We should see a slight change in this once it's done. So I'll pause this again just to save you guys time from watching all of this load. Cool, so it's been changed, and you can see here that's changed to V2, so that's now updated. Right, so V2 is now done for the front end, and because we've updated the front end and we may have added additional buttons or components, we want to make sure that the back end is up to date with the front end requirement doc. So we're just going to actually delete the back end requirement doc for now, and we're going to come back into here and we will then regenerate the back end requirement doc, auto layout, and then once that's done, we're simply going to come to Cursor, and we're going to get it to build the back end. So first of all, let's turn this off and on again. I'm just going to say to this, awesome. So now we have actually gone ahead and regenerated the back end requirement doc for the actually, what we also need to do is, you can see here, when we synced it again, we've added loads of features. We'll fix this issue. This bug shouldn't be around for much longer. So if you're following along, again, don't forget, if you use the link down below, you can actually get 50,000 free credits when you buy a pro subscription. So again, our context was getting full. This is a bug, by the way. We've created a new chat, so now this context will be gone. So when I send the first message, this context will be gone. We're going to click on this. We're going to add this to context, and we're going to say, here you can see we've got 476 features. I want you to remove all of the duplicates and leave the first 9 features. Also, do not disconnect any of the tertiary nodes or bridge nodes when you delete the features. I'm just going to send that through, clear this out. Let's just quickly, you know what, let's just stop that. Oops. Stop that. Let's just create a checkpoint. This is going to be built the front end and resynced front end PRD for the course builder. Course builder front end has been synced, about to build the back end. And it's a very good habit to get into creating these checkpoints, just because you don't want to lose any progress, right? Especially when you've got a massive project like this that you're working on. So we're going to come here, we're going to copy this, and we're just going to send this through. You can see that the context is now 1.3%. As the context gets full, the reason is, you'll start to see Orchestrator will perform worse. It's the same with Cursor. You can see down here, when the context is full, you're going to want to go ahead and create a new chat, just because there's too much stuff. But because of the way that CodeSpring works, you don't lose the context of your build, because you can see here it's going to get the mind map and it can re-find all of your information. So all of the information is stored here rather than being stored in your chat history. So I'm just going to pause this. We'll come back once it's cleaned up these features and hopefully nothing else breaks. That was simple. There you go, 9 features. We're back to that. Job done. Let's just do the auto layout, save those changes, and then we can come back into Cursor and we'll make sure that the MCP is working. That's all fine, and we're going to say here, so the front end has now been built. I'm happy with that. I have also regenerated the backend requirement doc inside CodeSpring. I want you to read my CodeSpring plan for the course builder feature that we're currently working on, and what I want you to do is build me the back end for this. So we're going to connect these front end buttons. So when I create a course, we need to obviously create the tables in our database, and I want you to make sure that the tables, whenever we create a course, we save the correct information in the tables from what we have in the front end. Remember, we're not creating anything like any overcomplicated backend, and you can read the database requirement doc as well on how to get this whole thing set up. And I'm not going to put any information in on how I want it to build the back end, how I want it to build the server actions, and hopefully we'll see that it should do a pretty good job of this, just based on its current knowledge of CodeSpring and how CodeSpring's planned out this app for us. What it should do is create some schema here for the database. It should then create some queries as well. I think these two are actually old queries files, which we can delete. I'm going to leave those in just because I can't be asked to do any bug fixing right now. But these are old queries this is a boilerplate. And then it should also create some actions as well. And again, there's some old actions in here from the old boilerplate like this one, but I can't be asked to get rid of it right now. So here we go. Let's read through what it's doing, and it's always good practice, right? Whenever CodeSpring you've got these requirement docs, right, is always have a look at what are the requirement docs. Backend services to create and manage courses. So you can see here, backend PRD course builder, overview, create and manage courses composed of modules and lessons. And then we've got this one here, which is the database product requirement doc. And then obviously, because there's a lot more detail here, now Cursor can go ahead and create a proper to-do list plan. And also, we have here these server actions as well, to-do lists. And once we've got the Kanban feature, this is in beta at the moment, so that's why it's not working. But once we've got the Kanban feature fully working, then you'll be able to see live on CodeSpring those move into completed. You'll see we're pushing an update fix for that tomorrow morning, so you'll see in day 3 or 4 I'll probably start doing more of those, as you'll see more information on how that works as well. So just come back to here, and I'm going to pause this and we'll come back once it's done. Right, let's have a look at what it's coding. So we can scroll up. So it's created courses schema, and we can have a look at what's in here, right? So if we come back to our project plan, where's courses? So we've got ID, title, slug, description, theme, visibility. ID, title, slug, description, theme, visibility, status, is deleted, deleted out, created out, updated out, deleted, created out, updated out. So this here is what we visually see here, right? And then you can see it's course queries. Again, it's made one of those. That's great. And courses actions. Again, that's perfect. That's what we want. And the way that this is designed is, again, because CodeSpring knows from our tech stack. Here, if we move this up here and expand this, and we come into Drizzle, it knows to create the database schema, the database queries, and the actions for each one, because that's just the way that I like to do my developing. That's how I bought the CodeSpring boilerplate. Courses actions, yep, that's fine. Updating the page, it's just doing some other bits and pieces, and then it will probably do some of the other database things as well. Okay, so now it's actually going to push these. So what this is doing here, if we come onto Superbase, you can see we've only got 2 tables. So it's going to actually generate a new update for the database, and that's part of the reason why I love using the CodeSpring boilerplate. It's because of Drizzle. We can simply just create the tables in here, and then we can just push them directly onto push them directly onto Superbase, and then we can see if we come back to here, we now have courses table. Look at that. Okay, we've got ID, user, title, all of these things have been set up correctly based on, theme, visibility, status is what we had planned out here. So it just makes creating databases so much easier. And this is what I was saying earlier, which is, it's very difficult, right? If you go in and you tell Cursor to build you an app, and it just decides, I'm going to design the database like this, and it builds it for you, and then you decide to change your mind later, you then have to make all of the changes in the code. Because you're using CodeSpring to design this, you can visually see that the database it had designed before was far too complicated. And we just removed a couple of things really, really simply, and now the database that it's created is a lot simpler, right? Which makes it a lot easier to develop. And it means that when we start developing, we are a lot less likely to fall into problems because we've actually had time to think through what we're building before we actually start building. And that's it. We're saving. It feels like it takes a little bit of time to build up your plan, but you can look at how quickly we then start to progress in development when we're actually starting to build our features, right? So hopefully now, when we come into here, eventually we'll see, no courses, right? Because this should be reading from the database soon. So we'll let this finish, and then what we'll do is we'll create some courses, and we should see them come in with modules in the lessons and videos as well. I'm not sure quite how the videos is going to work, but we'll see. So we can actually talk to Orchestrator here. Let's have a look. ID. So let's just tag the database product requirement doc, and we could say, why have we got a videos table and a lessons table? And send that through. So we can see separation of concerns. So lessons represent instructional units, so ordering, title, and metadata, while videos store media-specific data like file path, duration, encoding options. So actually, do we have? So we've got folder ID, title, source type. So at the moment, because we're probably just going to, I think for now, we need to think about where we're storing the videos and the MP3 files. But we'll come to that in a minute. So basically, it looks like it's probably fine, but we'll come around to it. And again, right, because especially with creating new things in the database, it's quite easy to make changes to the database if we need to, because we can visually see here what the database looks like. And if we make changes, then this will update the database requirement doc, which then will help us on here reorganize the database. And especially when we come to creating other features like the what do we need to do? The knowledge base indexing. So this is, once we've got the course builder, right, we're going to do this multi-source video ingestion, transcription pipeline, and knowledge base indexing. These 3 are going to be quite complicated features to build, so we'll have to do a lot of planning for those. But if we need to do any changes to the database, CodeSpring knows how everything's linked together, so it'll make it quite easy for us to do. So I'm quite looking forward to seeing how far we can push it with that. This is the most complicated app I've ever tried to build using CodeSpring, so we shall see what happens. Right, I saved you the boredom of watching everything that the AI was coding, but let's read the summary of what it's done. So, schema type definitions, query fixes, front-end component fixes, so looks like it's, I don't know, that'll do. So let's just keep all those changes, and let's just test it, right? So we're going to come onto the app, and if this happens, we're just going to come into here, and we're just going to restart. Also, we have this feature as well inside CodeSpring. So because I'm doing videos, I'm not really playing it, but play lo-fi music which is why when I designed it, I created like these lo-fi backgrounds. So you can have a lo-fi background, listen to lo-fi music while you're vibe coding, which I think is quite cool. Right, so what we're hoping for now is we should see some courses appear in here when I create a course. So this is empty. And we're going to come back to here. This is where things get complicated because these are back-end features. Front-end is fine. Back-end is where things become complicated. So what I'm going to do is just sort of come down here to see if there's any errors that come out. So we'll just make the terminal empty. Create your first course. So we're going to call this Build Your First App with AI. Description, we'll leave for now. And create a course. Okay, so build your first app with AI. Come to the database. Has it created a course? There we go. So build your first app with AI. That's integrated into the database. And because we're using the CodeSpring boilerplate, it makes it really easy to integrate it into databases. So now if I come back, if I refresh the page, that should still be there. Yeah, cool. So it's still draft. If we come into here, I don't know where it saves if it's public. So status is draft, is deleted. This probably means that we can have, if we delete something, we can recover it. Okay, I presume that's why it's done that. Otherwise, it would just delete the whole reference. But we'll come back to that. So let's come into. That's the other thing is it's a bit difficult here. And right, I want to click on this card to go into the course, but I have to click on this hyperlink to go in. But that's fine. Modules. So we have modules here. So let's create a lesson. So modules. We're going to call this module 1. Should be. I don't know, setting up the boilerplate. And what we're going to do actually is I'm going to come into here and I'm going to say, what I want to do is in the course section, /dashboard /courses, where I'm clicking on the courses at the moment, I have to click on the name of the course. It's like a hyperlink. I want to click on the course card to take me into the modules, into the actual course, so I can create modules. And also in the modules, when I name a module, automatically capitalize the first letter of the first word in the module. Same thing for the lessons as well. So we're going to call this, so again, we've just created a module. Let's see if that's come up in here. Fingers crossed. There we go. Setting up the boilerplate, and we can see it's got the course ID, so we know the module is linked to that specific course, so that's pretty easy. We're going to call this lesson 1. Let's just call this, I don't know, download, create GitHub account. Actually, that leaves me an idea, right? This is why I love CodeSpring, because now I'm like, oh, maybe there's a new feature I want to build, so we can actually come into here, we could say, I want to design a new feature in our app. We won't do this in the MVP, but it'll be a little bit later on, where we're creating a course. We can have a prompt that we can type in somewhere, and it could use a simple language model to break down what our course is into. So instead of creating multiple modules and multiple courses, I want to be able to just tell it what the course is on, and then it can think through and break it down into modules and courses that I need to film with essentially like a very small breakdown for 3-minute lessons, for example, and then it will automatically create those for us. Okay, and that's another feature that we could have. So great, a GitHub account, and we'll put, this can be our video for that. So it's going to be a Loom video, and we're going to paste the Loom link here, and we're going to add the lesson. So that's in draft, edit. Okay, so it says it's in draft, but presumably that's because this whole course is in draft. But if I come into here and I click edit, it hasn't saved the URL. So let's just see if we come into lessons. So your ID, create a GitHub account, lessons in draft. Okay, so videos maybe. Lessons. Okay, so it's not saving the URL as well. This is going to be a low priority feature that we're planning out here. We're going to come back into Cursor, and we're going to, first of all, let's just send these UI improvements off, get that working, and then we're going to say, looks like everything's working great. We are able to create a course that saves into the database. We're able to create modules that also save into the database, but when I create a lesson, it creates a lesson in the database. The problem is when I'm creating a lesson in the database, and I use, it says video source, YouTube, Loom, or upload. For now, I'm testing with just YouTube and Loom. So if I put a Loom URL or a YouTube URL and I save it, it's not saving it anywhere in the database. So can we have a look at our database and make sure that we are able to save that? I don't know whether we want to save it in the videos table or we want to save it in the lessons table, because I'm not sure how we're using videos versus lessons, because obviously if we're uploading it, we also want to be able to, because we haven't built the feature yet, but we're also going to be uploading things like MP4 files, converting them into MP3 files as well. So we need to figure that out as well. Okay, let's just have a look here. What's CodeSpring said? AI course outline generator, should the creation, how should the, okay, so show outline, then use confirms, yep. Do you want to use the defaults for V0? Yes, use these defaults. Auto layout. Save that. Let's see what's going on here. Okay, I'm going to pause this and we'll come back. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come into the database product requirement doc here. And I'm not sure how we want these videos to be saved. This is where it gets complicated, right? Because we are uploading, at the moment we're just hosting, so if we have a Loom video, we could do like a preview course where it's just like an iframe embed for a Loom video, but we may want to make that different. Would you like me to generate a lightweight PRD? I'm going to say no for now. When should we, to be determined. So we can either ask CodeSpring from this product requirement doc where we should save these, or what's better, I think, is we get Cursor to figure out where to save the videos. What's the best plan? Pause for now. Right, okay, save this. Okay, so what we want to do now is, so this has updated the UI, so if we come back to here, we should be able to click and it takes us directly in, click into this, that takes us in. I can't remember what the other changes were that we tried to create. So let's just see what comes up, what Cursor comes up with this, because when we're trying to save, what we're trying to look at now is here, when I actually create the Loom video and I click save, it's not saving it in the database. Now, if Cursor decides to go ahead and update our course schema, which it might do, we can then just use the sync product requirement doc to update CodeSpring, rather than we get CodeSpring to come up with a plan and then tell Cursor, because Cursor may have done some different changes. So it may be able to answer our question for us. Doesn't really matter which way around we do it, I don't think, but let's just see what it comes up with. Kidoki, so database structure. The database has two tables. Lessons table stores the lessons metadata. Yeah, that's fine. Table stores as video information. This separation makes sense because lessons are the content unit, videos hold the media specific data. Yep, that's fine. The videos, yeah, so it knows that later on we have the MP4 files, it'll store them elsewhere, but we're also going to convert, so any MP4 that we upload, or if we like link a Loom video or YouTube video, we're going to convert it into an MP3 file, which we're going to be able to store somewhere. I might change it from Cloudflare just to Superbase storage bucket for now to make it easier. Yeah, you could also convert videos to transcription, which is what we're going to do. What I fixed, the issue was that add lesson action was only creating the lesson, not the video record. Wasn't having video updates. Now both actions create update lesson. Let's just see, because I don't think we have a column for the URL. ID, title, source type, source reference, status, thumbnail URL. Nope, creates that. I don't think it has it, but let's see what happens here. Okay, so we have, so the lesson is there. This may not work actually because of the way I did that. Okay, so here we go. Now it's created the video, but it hasn't, I don't think, stored a source reference. So source reference is the URL. Okay. Source reference is here. I don't know whether this database PRD explains that source reference is the URL. So, okay, Now what we're going to do, I think we'll leave that there. So basically we're now at the point where we can actually create our lessons. So let's just refresh this now. We're going to come back. So here we can create our course. We can come in. Modules are saved. Here we go. The problem is obviously it's not saving. So we can come back into here and we could say, actually, let's just, you know what, let's just start again because this may just be a bug because, okay, so I deleted that. Now let's see what happens with the deleted. So we should see in the courses, it should say, instead of false, it should say true. For is deleted true. Cool. So we essentially what it's doing here is a soft delete. Is it saying, look, you know, it's not a permanent delete. You can then theoretically we can recover the data later on if we want, which I'm kind of happy with for now because especially inside CodeSpring we do hard deletes mostly just for privacy concerns. But you know, sometimes customers come to us saying, I deleted a project, how do I get it back? And it's like, well, actually you can't because we've told you that you can't recover data once you delete it. But in this app, that's fine. So create a course. We'll call this course 2. I'm going to just do test as a description. Let's just call it description. And it's going to be in draft to start off with. Module, we'll call it module 1. Add a lesson. I'm going to call this lesson 1. Let's copy the Loom link. Loom, paste this in here. And we're going to click add lesson. So lesson 1. Come into here. We should now see, let's refresh. Oop. So lesson 1, does it say whether it's a Loom video or what? So I think in the videos we want to save the type that it is. Lesson 1 is, so we are saving it. We have the Loom video, processing, cool. And we'll use status later on when we actually convert it. So processing can be like converted to MP3, then it can be transcribed, then it can be indexed, for example, where it's turned into the vector embeddings. So let's come into here. Let's just go back to the dashboard for now and say, cool, let's go into our courses. What courses have we built? We've got our lesson. If we click into this, it should hopefully remember it's a Loom video and it's going to give us the URL, but I don't think it will. No. So we're going to come back into here. We're going to say everything's working correctly inside the database. The only thing that's confusing me is we are saving the URL under, I think it's source reference. Is that correct? So if it was an MP4 that we uploaded, would the source reference be, when you say playback ID for uploads, presumably that's fine, right? Instead of calling it URL, for example. But when I come back into the courses, if I look into a course and I click into a lesson and it shows me the editing view for the lesson that I've already saved, let's say it's a Loom video from the database for the video, it's not storing the state. So the video source isn't stored with Loom and the Loom URL isn't showing up when I edit the lesson. We need to be able to make sure that those UI elements are pulling in the data from the database. Once we've done this, all we're going to do next is then resync it to CodeSpring, so CodeSpring's up to date with these little bug fixes, and then we can move on to the next feature. So you can see how quickly we can design relatively powerful features, right? And then we'll figure out like publishing. So this is now published, right? So if we come back to here, if we come to the database for our courses, we should see okay, public, right? Sorry, published. And also it's got visibility public here, but I don't think actually we have a UI for that. Settings. Visibility, so we can actually set it public and private. So these are all things like if we actually come into CodeSpring here, courses, visibility, it had already planned this out for us. This is why I love using CodeSpring for things like this, is it thinks through based on the questions it asks you. You know, when it asks you to tick off boxes, it'll think through, okay, actually here's an edge case, or here's something in the future that might be useful for you to have that we may have missed. And then it becomes complicated to add it back in the future or make changes. But because we've planned it out first, it's added in features that are really, really useful for us. So here, let's try it now. Looks like it seems to think it's fixed it. So we come in, lesson, cool, it's now remembering it. So now what we're going to do is, let's check our last checkpoint. Course front end, so now we're going to do, so we're going to sync the back end changes. So we're going to come into here, we're going to say, excellent, what I want you to do now is use the sync PRD function from CodeSpring MCP, and I want you to sync the changes, what we have just created for, especially the databases and the back end product requirement docs. back into CodeSpring, and also can you add a note card as well for the course builder feature, explaining, making sure that it's got up-to-date information on how the back end has been built, if there's any differences between what the code says and what CodeSpring has planned. If there's no differences, then obviously we don't need to have duplicate information. And let's send that through, and I'll come back to you once that's done. Okay, so it looks like it's updating some things here. Let's just have a look through what it's done. Let me just set these MCP tools going. Success, database PRDs. I think it's actually synchronized the product requirement docs a little bit. I just love that, all these changes are now going to be visualized here. And we want to do some other things in the future where it will then keep in sync, and then it will show us, if we've created any bloating code. But the reality is, because we've planned it out first, we shouldn't have that much bloated code. And you can see it's keeping things quite organized. And actually what we'll do after this, we'll push a commit to GitHub so we have everything backed up, and then we'll be ready to go, and then we'll probably finish for day 2, because this has been, about 3 hour long development session. So, what's it said? File's too large. Okay, I'm just going to pause this, I'll come back once it's done. Okay, so it looks like it's done it now, and I'm sure we'll have some issues with it creating feature cards again, but so it says sync the PRDs and added implementation notes to CodeSpring. Here's what's been updated. So database product requirement doc, phase 1 complete, listed 4 tables currently implemented, noted deferred tables for phase 2, so images, media folders, transcriptions, documented key implementation details, backend requirement doc, and again, if we come back onto here, let's come onto CodeSpring. So you can see here we've got V1 for the database, and we've got V1 for the backend, and then obviously V2 for the front end. If we refresh now, we should see. Let's just collapse everything and then auto layout. So we should see. Actually, there's no point collapsing. So we should see here. There we go. Database PRD has got V2. Course builder data model for creating. Okay, implementation phase 1 has been complete. So you can see here it's listed this as complete. Also, if we have Kanban tasks, it will then have updated the Kanban tasks as well. So phase 1's been completed, and then deferred to phase 2, images, lesson images, media folders, transcriptions, segments, embedding reference, which we'll do in probably day 3 or 4, loads of other bits and pieces, and I recommend just reading and keeping up to date with this. What we'll probably do as well is add some sort of front end thing where these are ticked off that we've created these and mark them as completed, for example. Again, we've got the back end one, again version 2 here, so we can see that that's been updated. Phase 1 has been complete. Okay, so all of that's been updated. So now we know if we want to come back into this feature and make any more changes, then we can easily do that, and it will keep it up to date. And now any plans and features that we plan from this will be up to date. The only thing is obviously here, I'm just going to come to checkpoints. You can see again we've got this issue where it's created hundreds of features. So we're going to come into create a checkpoint. We're going to say synced course builder backend changes. I'm just going to do the same description, create a checkpoint for that, and then we're just going to come on to here, and let's just come back to cursor, and we're going to say great commit and push to GitHub. Get that going, and then come to orchestrator, and we're just going to click this, add to context. You won't have to do this, we're going to fix this problem. What I want you to do now is, you can see we've got 579 features in the feature card. I want you to deduplicate, remove all of the duplicate features, leaving the first 1 to 9 features, or I think it's actually maybe 1 to 10 features that we have planned. And then I want you to make sure that you don't delete any connections between features and their bridge nodes or tertiary nodes. Bridge nodes and tertiary nodes, by the way, guys, this is a bridge node here. Think of them like folders. And then all of these things here are tertiary nodes, but like notes and things you attach to each individual feature. So got it, I'll deduplicate the feature card, keeping only the 1 to 10 occurrences. You can confirm whether you prefer 1 or 9 or 1 to 10. So I think it's 10 because I think I actually planned a new feature. I can't remember what it was. It was the AI course outline generator. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it was 10. And then 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah. So it should hopefully keep 10. We'll see what happens. Let's come back to cursor, push this to GitHub. And the reason I'm using cursor to push it to GitHub is because it adds much better commit history. and because the commit history is useful, because we can actually get CodeSpring to read the commit history as well. So it'll probably help a lot. There you go, it's now cleaned all that up, so that's fine. That'll probably only use a few credits. And again, if you guys have enjoyed this series so far, then go ahead, click the link down below, create an account for CodeSpring. You will get 50,000 free credits if you use the link down below. If you obviously sign up for the Pro plan, it's $335 for a year. You get 10,000 credits per month plus 50,000 credits to get started planning. Plus you get all of our courses, all of our training. If you ever get stuck in anything, you can book in a call with Hussein, who's on our team, who's incredible. He'll help you out with anything technical on designing or building your app. Really looking forward to seeing what you guys build. And obviously, you know, we're a small company. I'd love it if you guys could share this, post this on Twitter. If you do start building, obviously share with everybody else. Everything that you're building, create videos, create content, get the word out there about CodeSpring. And also don't forget, if you want to create your own invites in your own account, you too can invite other people from your invites, so you can earn as well. So you could get 50,000 credits by signing up with our invite link down below, but you could also go ahead and invite other people and get 50,000 credits for every single person that pays for a premium plan through your invite link. That's it, guys. I'm going to leave you guys here, but I hope you enjoyed this series so far.